Welcome to part 2. Okay, so it says replicate the formula entered in steps 5, 6 and 7. Calculate and display the data for quarters 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so this is the next part of the task. So as you can see, here are the quarters. So we've done the data for quarter 1. So now we have to do the same for 2, 3 and 4. So these are just simple equal sum formulas. That we did earlier, and just replicate them, as you can see, which is what we're doing right now. So as you can see, this actually saves a bit of time and it shouldn't take too long to do. Oops, apologies. Let me just double check what I did there, because I may have made a mistake. No, I didn't. No, I did. Okay, sorry about that, but as you can see, it can happen to the best of us when we're not concentrating properly. There we go. And here's quarter number 4. Okay, now to display the data, you can push CTRL on your keyboard, and next to key number 1 is a key with funny squiggles on it. Okay, and that's a keyboard shortcut to show your data. So always check what you've done. Like I showed you earlier, I made a mistake, easy enough to make, but obviously in the exam you'll be concentrating more than I will. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next step now. Let's take a look. And it says, okay, so next part, calculate the profit for each month and each quarter. Okay, so each month and each quarter. Right, so profit equals income minus expenditure. Now, that is just a guide. That is not the actual formula that you have to type in. So, now what profit is when you get the revenue, which is all the money together, and you look at your expenses, and you basically take your expenses away from your income. So what you're left with is profit. And in some cases, there are times when it may be in the minus, so the whole exercise may have actually cost them money. So let's take a look. Right, so it says each month and each quarter. So that means all of the cells along here. Okay, so the profit for all of the cells along here. Now, that's the income, that's the expenses, and the expenses are subtracted from the income. So this is what we are doing. Equals, you first select your income, your expenditure, you subtract it from your income. Now what's left, as you can see, from the expenses taken away from the income, let's check that again in case I get it wrong. Sometimes I get it wrong. I do have a problem with numbers. So my income subtracts my expenses. There's my income. Now I'm taking away my expenses. Now that's right. Apologies for the error earlier. Okay, sometimes when I look at numbers I'm not very good with numbers. Okay, so I always double check what I'm doing. Okay, I double check all the time, because as you see, I made a mistake earlier. That's not me making the mistakes on purpose to show you. That is me doing what I naturally do, and because I'm terrible with numbers, I check what I'm doing and I actually walk myself through it. Okay, so now I'm going to do this one more time because I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Okay, so I get my income. That's my income. That's the money that I've got. That's my revenue. Now I'm going to subtract my expenses, so the things that I needed to buy. Okay, and what I've got left is my profit. There we are. Now I'm confident that's right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replicate the formula across. Okay, so there we are. So I'm just going to double check here. So it says calculate the profit for each month and each quarter. Okay, and the quarter is here. So I can just simply do this. And there we are. Okay, So it's so much quicker. Right, let's move on to the next part. On the left, add a footer with your name, centre number and candidate number. On the right of the footer, add the automated file name and path. Okay, now as you can see, I've not saved my spreadsheet yet, so I've made a mistake. So my file name could be wrong. Okay, so now, so as it says, save this file with your centre number and candidate number. Okay, so I'm going to do it now because I've been reminded I've made a mistake, a very natural mistake. Okay, that basically I forgot to do this, so I'm going to do it now. So that's why we always double check. We always sit there and think, right, so I'm doing it now. So I've got to save it as my centre number and my candidate number. So let's just check the order of that just in case. Centre number underscore candidate number. We can see it here. Okay, so this is my imaginary centre number and this is my imaginary candidate number. So I'm going to save this now. And there we are. Right, so headers and footers. So we go to view. And no, not view, it's not in here. Sorry. Okay. This is different to Word, obviously. You'd think if it's on view in Word it would be here. Nope. Okay, let me check. View, it won't be in view, I don't think. View. If I missed something here. And I did miss it. Here's the headers and footers. I apologise for that. Thought it may be an insert. Right, so on the left section. So just double check whether it's header or footer. So it says footer. There we go. I've done the wrong one. So that's what I said. I always double check what I'm doing. Footer. There we go. Here we are. So I'm just going to delete the page one there. We don't need it. Okay. So it says name. Do you know? Oops, spelled centre wrong. Typo. Oops. And there we are. Now on the right, it wants our file path. Okay, so I'm just going to double check that. So, yep, on the right before add automated file name and path. Okay, so, right, I'm just going to pause this so I can find it. Right, and the automated file path is InDesign. Okay, and we're just typing file path there. Okay, so it's found it and it's there. Right, so we're going to go back to home. And, oops, we need to go back to view. Sorry, no. Need to exit the header and footer. Sorry, so just double click here. Go to view. Right, so back to the sheet view. Now let's continue. So we've done our profit and we've done our footer and file name. So it says in B9, use the function to display the greatest monthly profit. Now, it says the greatest monthly profit. So we have to be careful, okay, of what we select. Right, I'm going to show you the mark scheme here, okay, to show you how the formula is laid out. So on one, I do believe it's sheet one, here we are. You can see what they do is they break up the cell ranges using a comma, okay, because we need to make sure that we don't select the subtotal. Right, so the greatest monthly profit. So that's what we're going to do now. So here we are. Right, so I'm going to best month, which is cell B and 9. Here we are. And it equals max to find the maximum. So we select April, May and June from the profits. And we stop at subtotal because subtotal is not a month. And then we go to July, August, September. And again, we stop at subtotal. And we go along throughout the years. Throughout each quarter. Okay, close the brackets, press enter. And there's our greatest monthly profit. So again, working down the sheet. Now it says calculate the number of trips, income, expenditure, and profit for the year. Okay, so number of trips, income, expenditure for the total year. So basically, we can get our subtotals and we can do it that way. So we can just add our subtotals together. Quite simple. Equals, subtotal for quarter one. This is for the year. Add. Subtotal for quarter two. Add. December. Add. Oops, no, not December. There we go. Look, see, I made a mistake there. There we are. Add. Subtotal. Press enter. And there we are. Okay, so we're going to do the same for our income. Might be a good idea just to add up the subtotals. So what we can do is just replicate the formula down here. Okay, and then we need to work out our profits for the year. Okay, so here we are. Now this is the expenditure, so I'm just going to double check that. Okay, so that should be okay. So yep, the subtotals, I think that should be fine. And what we're going to do is equals. Okay, so that's our profit, so we've got to subtract our income and expenditure. So income, subtract expenses. And there we go. Okay, so our next part of the sheet. So greatest monthly profit, lowest monthly profit in B10. Okay, so B10 and B11 is going to be lowest and average. Okay, so equals. So worst is min because it's the lowest. And remember, we're selecting the cell ranges of the months of the year. Right, make sure you've got no subtotal selected, and that's that done. Close your brackets. Always close your brackets, otherwise you might have to do it again. Okay, so the lowest is 0 because you can see that in December there was no trips. Now, going to work out the average, which is equals average. We're going to do the same thing. Oh, tell you what, I'm so bad with numbers right now. I'm actually going a bit cross-eyed. Numbers are really not my comfort zone, so don't feel alone if you feel the same thing during your exam, that you're starting to go a bit cross-eyed. So you might need a bit of a rest break, which I'm going to get one in a moment because I need to upload this video in about 2 minutes because I'm running out of time. Okay, there we are. Right, so now just going to read out the next question, but I may. Right, okay, so it says add appropriate formatting to all cells except row 2. Okay, so row 2 here is not appropriate for formatting. Appropriate formatting here you can do, okay, you can do it everywhere. So appropriate formatting, I'm going to look at my numbers first, okay, and I can see these numbers, they need to be in currency. Now, we need to know what our currency is, because if you actually do it in euros, because you're in Spain, obviously your currency is euros, that could be completely wrong. So I'm going to double check. I'm certain it was in US dollars, but I'm going to check. So it says display all currency values to dollars into 2 decimal places. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so we are about, yep, here. Okay, so there we go. Home. Go to currency. Okay, mine's gone into pounds, but that's because my computer comes from England. That's not right, so I need to change the symbol. So here's the symbol, and I need to find dollars. I suppose it doesn't matter, but I'm going to choose United States anyway, and it's already set to 2 decimal places. And there we are, it's formatted into currency. Now, going to go to the next one, currency. Or you could just go straight down here if it's in keep, because like I said, mine's defaulted to sterling. And 2 decimal places. Okay.